Have you visited the Eiffel Tower? Have you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro? Have you laid on the beach in the Maldives? Have you gambled in Las Vegas? Have you travelled to watch a World Cup football match? Have you thrown tomatoes at Las Tomatinas Festival? If you answered yes to any of those, then you have visited a tourist attraction. Tourist attractions are a key component of the travel and tourism industry. They're one of the reasons we travel. It's one of the major things we do as part of our holidays. Tourist attractions are super important, and they come in various different shapes and sizes. So today in this video, I am going to tell you all about the different types of tourist attractions, with a few examples thrown in, so that you understand more about the tourism industry and the different types of tourist attractions that there are. So let's start off by explaining what is a tourist attraction. A tourist attraction is essentially a place of interest to tourists. This is also often referred to as a visitor attraction. A tourist attraction will usually have value to the tourist in one of the following areas: historical significance, cultural value, political significance, nature, natural or built beauty, leisure, amusement and fun. Tourist attractions are a great way to attract tourists, to build your tourism industry. Now, in some places, these might be there already. It could be the beach or the mountain or some ancient ruins. But in some cases, some destinations have strategically placed tourist attractions in an area to build up the tourism industry in that particular locality. A fantastic example of this is in Vietnam. In Vietnam, they built the most incredible bridge. If you're on Instagram, you've probably seen it. It's known as the Golden Bridge. And many people now travel to that particular area just to visit this famous bridge. But not only is there a bridge, there's also a huge theme park. There's literally in the clouds. It's just awesome. It's just an absolutely awesome idea. It's created so many jobs. It's created so much money. And it's up in the mountains in a place where there was nothing. So tourist attractions can, if managed well and sustainably, be a fantastic way for governments and for tourism destination organisations to boost the tourism industry, or maybe just start one from scratch. So what is the role of tourist attractions? Well, predominantly tourist attractions are there to provide tourists with entertainment of some form. People could be entertained through theme park rides or shows, or they could be entertained through education by learning about the history of the area, for example, maybe through a museum. They could be there to facilitate special events and recreation as well. So what are the major types of tourist attractions? We can split this into 4 major categories. There are natural attractions, man-made attractions, sporting attractions, and events. And I'm going to explain what all of these mean with some examples to you right now. Natural attractions are attractions that are natural. They're not built by people. A natural attraction is an attraction that is naturally occurring. A person or people have not made it. So some people get a little bit confused with this. For example, many cities have botanical gardens. Yes, the flowers and the plants inside are natural, but they have been placed there by a man. So that does not count as a natural attraction. A natural attraction is actually something that is natural. Let me give you some examples. A national park is an area that is designated as protected by the state. So it will have lots of natural areas, not made by man, completely natural, that are not allowed to be developed on. Lots of people choose to go on holidays to national parks. They will do things like rock climbing, cycling, kayaking, walking, hiking, those sorts of things. In the United Kingdom, we have 15 national parks. And some of the most popular examples include Dartmoor, the Brecon Beacons, the Lake District, and the New Forest. Another example of a natural attraction is a beach. Beach tourism is popular around the world, but especially with people who come from colder climates, who travel as an outbound tourist to another destination to go and enjoy the warmer weather and lie on the beach. There are lots of different types of beaches. There are secluded, quiet beaches. I never forget the time I went to the Galapagos and I had to hike for 45 minutes to a beach. But it was the most beautiful beach I have ever seen, and it was so special. Other beaches are very, very busy. In fact, during the peak season, many beaches suffer from over-tourism. I've experienced this in many parts of the world. Turkey and Spain are 2 places that come to mind. These beaches are super busy because of all the amenities and the accommodation surrounding them. So there may be lots of high-rise hotels, and people can literally just come out of their hotel and go straight onto the beach. And if there's lots of people staying there, there's probably going to be lots of people on the beach. Another example of a natural tourist attraction is a cave. Caves are so exciting to go and visit, and there are so many different caves all around the world. Caves are essentially a natural void in the ground. Some are big and some are small. Some of them have water inside too, which is especially common in Mexico, and they are known as cenotes. You can go diving and swimming on boat trips, they're pretty cool. Cliffs are another popular type of natural tourist attraction. A cliff is essentially a land edge where the land juts out above the sea, and lots of people choose to travel to cliffs to enjoy the scenery. They might take a picnic or go for a walk. My favourite cliff I visited was Cape Point in South Africa. The scenery was just so beautiful and it was so peaceful. Mountains are especially popular for people who want to visit a natural tourist attraction. There are lots of things we can do at mountains. We can stay in a log cabin, we can go hiking, we can climb the mountain, we can go skiing. There are a wide array of options for people who love mountains. Usually, mountains will come in ranges, so there'll be lots of mountains, but sometimes they can be lonesome. So, for example, you have the Himalayas that's found across Nepal and India and around that region, which is a range of mountains. And then you've got Mount Kilimanjaro, which I climbed. Super proud of that. Which is a lonesome mountain found in Tanzania and Kenya. Lots of people also choose to visit hills as their choice of natural tourist attraction. There are lots of things you can do in hills, hiking, bike riding, those kinds of things. Go for a picnic. And some popular hills include the Chocolate Hills in the Philippines and Glastonbury Tor in the UK. Another popular natural attraction is a waterfall. I love waterfalls. There's something so peaceful about visiting a waterfall, even when they're the really powerful, angry type. Many people choose to visit waterfalls to look at them and to see how beautiful they are. Or maybe they are going on a boat trip. Maybe they're going on the rapids or something like that. There are lots of famous waterfalls around the world and also lots of not so famous ones too. Victoria Falls is the biggest waterfall in the world and it's definitely on my bucket list. And another example of a popular natural attraction is an island. There are islands all over the world. Tends to be the tropical ones that are often the most popular with tourists. I wonder why. Islands are small bits of land, really, and usually they have lots of coastal areas, so often that will provide lots of opportunities for beach tourism, leisure tourism, etc. My favourite islands in the world are the Gili Islands. Now, you may never have heard of these, but you should absolutely put them on your list of places to go. They're just spectacular. They're off the coast of Bali, really easy to get to on a boat, and there are 3 of them, super quiet. One of them's a party island, so if that's your thing, full of backpackers, drinking all night. They're so beautiful. You can go swimming with turtles right off the beach. There's no motorised transport, just horse and car, and it is just one of the most special places I've ever been. Another popular natural tourist attraction is a forest. There are forests all over the world. Some are warm, some are cold, some are in between. Sometimes people will go just for a walk in the forest. Some people might go and stay in a traditional log cabin, or there are also some resort areas that have been set up especially in forests. So in the UK, a famous example is Center Parcs, and Center Parcs is known for giving you that forest life during your stay, and they have lots of different activities and things for you to do while you are in the forest. And the next type of tourist attraction is the purpose-built tourist attraction, also known as a man-made tourist attraction. Now, the title was pretty self-explanatory. A purpose-built or a man-made attraction is one that has been built on purpose by man. And there are lots and lots of examples of purpose-built attractions all around the world. One example is an entertainment park. So this is a place that is built with lots of entertainment. So for example, for those of you who are not familiar, I am based in China. You can learn all about life in China by following me on Instagram. And we recently visited an entertainment park called Sembo. They love entertainment parks here in China. And it's literally a place that has swimming with water slides and things. There are arcades. There are activities outside, climbing activities and sort of go ape type things. There are big soft plays, loads and loads of things to do. But it's all in a confined area known as an entertainment park. There are also wildlife attractions. So these are ones that have been built. So zoos, farms, and those places that offer you experiences with animals. So for example, it's very controversial, and I personally wouldn't recommend it because I think it's not ethical, but it is quite popular to go to a place called Tiger Temple in Thailand, in Chiang Mai. There are other organisations like this around the world as well, but this is a particularly famous one. You go into Tiger Temple and you can see tigers and experience tigers. Aquariums are also an example of wildlife tourist attractions. Now, using wildlife as a means of entertaining tourists is pretty controversial, and there are a lot of people, myself included, that wouldn't suggest that we do that because it's often not very kind on the animals. However, there are also sanctuaries. So for example, we visited a sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica, we visited an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, and these are there to help the animals and to often rehabilitate them after they have been through traumatic experiences, however that might be. And they actually rely on tourist revenue to be able to feed these animals and to take care of them. So some wildlife tourist attractions are better than others, and if you're going to go and visit one, I recommend you do your research and visit the ethical ones rather than the unethical ones. Another example of a built tourist attraction is a museum or an art gallery. There are museums all over the world. Some are big, some are small. They come in lots of different shapes and sizes. Fun fact, Jeju, an island off of South Korea, has more sex museums than anywhere else in the world. Who knew? My favourite museum that I visited was the War Remnants Museum in Vietnam. This was just so insightful for me. I knew very little about the Vietnamese War, and I learnt a lot during that trip, and it was quite haunting, some of the things that I learned. So there are lots of different types of museums. They might be a form of dark tourism, like a war museum, or they could be a bit more fun, like a sex museum. There are also a wide variety of unique built tourist attractions. So remember, anything that is built by a person or a machine is a built tourist attraction. Here in China, they love glass bridges. There are glass bridges in rural, mountainous areas all over the place. In Costa Rica, they've built zip lining through the trees in the jungles. So much fun. And in many places around the world, they have things such as car racing, where you can hire a super expensive car to go around a track a few times. That's another example of a built or a man-made tourist attraction. We then have historical or cultural attractions. Now, these tourist attractions were not built for tourists, but they were built by people. These are often temples, mosques, castles, ancient buildings, things like this. A lot of them are now unused and visited by tourists. Some of them are used and visited by tourists too, particularly religious buildings. I've visited many historical and cultural tourist attractions around the world, and I love it. One of my favourites has to be the Pyramids of Giza. If you haven't been yet, put it on that bucket list because it is awesome. And the next category of tourist attractions are sporting attractions. Now, lots of people don't really think about sport to be an attraction, but in actual fact it is, and it brings in big business. There are three main types of sport tourist attractions. These are spectating events, participating in sports, and stadium tours. There are so many different sporting events that take place around the world every year. Whether it's the Football World Cup, boxing tournament, the Olympics, the Six Nations rugby, there are so many different types sporting events, and naturally people will want to travel to go and spectate and watch these events. That generates with it a huge amount of tourism, and when we go to watch an event as tourists, we do so much more than just sitting in a stadium and watching. We go for dinner, we buy drinks, we spend money on our flight, on our hotel. So the whole area benefits from the tourism because of that event. And many people travel to participate in sporting events too. Maybe you are thinking about going to Portugal to learn to surf, or perhaps you're going to Bali to do a yoga course. There are lots of different options around the world where we can travel and be tourists and also learn or practice some kind of sport at the same time. And the third type of sporting tourist attraction is a stadium itself. And there are lots of stadiums around the world where you can go for a tour as a tourist. So you could go around the Barcelona Olympic Stadium, for example. You can look around Manchester United Stadium. You can visit the Melbourne Cricket Ground. There are loads of places where you can do this all around the world. And the last major type of tourist attraction is a special event. Now, events might be permanent structures. They might not really be physical structures at all. They might be annual events, ad hoc events. There are all sorts of events, but these are activities actually a type of tourist attraction in their own right. One example of an event is a market. Lots of tourists love to visit markets, whether it's a fruit and vegetable market in the Gambia or a fake goods market in Shanghai, where you can buy some really good knockoffs. There are lots of different types of markets all around the world. We also have festivals and parades. Many people will travel as tourists to go to a festival or a parade. There are so many different types of festivals around the world, from the Rio Carnival to the Harbin Ice and Snow Festival to Holi Festival in India. These are all major events that attract many tourists to come to that area. And many people will also travel to visit exhibitions. There are lots of different types of expeditions. Some are permanent, some are temporary, found around the world. Examples include the Tate Modern, ITB Festival in Berlin, the Tutankhamun exhibition in Egypt. All of these are examples of exhibitions around the world that many tourists will go to visit. And we also have entertainment venues. So many tourists will travel to go to an entertainment venue to be entertained. Examples of this include the Sydney Opera House in Australia, Hollywood Bowl in the USA, Paradiso in the Netherlands, and Harper Concert Hall in Iceland. I hope that in this video, not only have I taught you a bit more about the different types of tourist attractions around the world, but also I might have given you a bit of inspiration on some amazing tourist attractions that you might want to visit. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you do subscribe to my channel and give me a big thumbs up. And watch this next.